And this is what it is, like Georgia did, or like Nick has done, or like Rob did. I'm stepping out by faith, and everybody goes, that's a joke. All of a sudden, what would happen if everybody wasn't responding to you, but all of a sudden people didn't respond to you properly? What would that do to your heart? You'd die. You know, the fear of man that we're talking about, the fear of man is what the Lord's confronting. So He brings us into a place, He allows us, He makes us vulnerable, and that increases. It doesn't decrease. The more we walk with the Lord, the more He confines us, the more He restrains us, the more He matures us, the more given over to death that He requires of us. I mean, that really is His way. And that's kind of a side thought also. Let's go on. So Peter just got this word. You go where you want to go right now, Peter, but there's going to be a time when somebody's going to take you someplace, and you don't want to go there, and it means I'm telling you this because this is how you're going to die. So Peter's just been challenged. I mean, the Lord is really provoking him. And so Peter, all of a sudden he's been challenged. It's Simon now, and he's been challenged in his love, and the Lord's speaking to him and saying, you were free, but now you're not going to be free. There's going to be a time when you're going to be going someplace where you don't want to go. And at that point, Peter, in verse 20, he turns around and he sees the disciple whom Jesus loved following them. The one who also leaned back on his breast at the supper and said, Lord, who is the one who betrays you? You know who that is? Who is that? Who is that?
John.
Who's writing this?
John.
John's writing this. He said, he's speaking about me. He didn't say that. He said, no, this is the one whom Jesus loved. Isn't that amazing that John would write that? Peter looked around and saw the disciple whom Jesus loved, who laid his head on his breast. So Peter, therefore seeing him, said to Jesus, Lord, and what about this man? And part of what rushed to my mind is the very thing that I think we need to, as believers, have dealt with in our lives. We are always comparing ourselves to other people. Always. You know, if the Lord has it tough for me and has it easy for somebody else, I think I'm missing it. Or I blame God. What about this man? In our lives, there are so many opportunities for us to measure ourselves by what other people think or by what other people are doing. We measure ourselves in our relationship with the Lord as we measure ourselves in relation to other people around us. We are constantly comparing ourselves. And this word was for Peter. And Peter looked at somebody else and said, why aren't you giving him a word? Why aren't you speaking to him that way? Or it could be the opposite. Well, why are you blessing him and not blessing me? Why does he have everything going for him and I don't? And a bitterness can rise up in us, and it goes back to, in some ways, how I started the whole thing. This is the response that Jesus said to him. What about this man? Jesus said to him, if I want him to remain until I come, what is that to you? You follow me. And this is the critical part. Is that each of us have to have a relationship with the Lord in which we are so secure that if the Lord directs us in a way that is different and contrary and maybe even more difficult than somebody else, we would choose to go there gladly because it's the Lord. That our identity with the Lord, our relationship with the Lord has to be so intimate. When Jesus said, I don't care, I mean really the critical part of that whole thing is, whatever I speak to somebody else, or I speak to your life, it doesn't matter. I am speaking to each one of you here. You follow me. Everyone here follows Jesus. Everyone here. We have to know the Lord. We have to follow Him. And we cannot compare what's happening in our life based on what's happening in somebody else's life. In many ways, it'll test your very heart. He'll allow those things to happen. He will bless your next door neighbor. He'll bless that brother next to you with finances and prosperity and stature. And you'll be hidden in a back room, and you'll be nobody will see you, nobody will acknowledge you. You're scraping together your money, and you're saying, God, why aren't you doing why don't you speak the same word to me? And the most important thing Jesus said in this, and the most critical thing, is that we all follow Him. Everyone here has to have a relationship with the Lord that is, and in the end, in reality, that's part of the security that took place as the Lord established it in my life. Because so many things was happening over there. You know, so much was going on over there, activity going over there, and God was over there, and prophetic stuff was going over there. What am I doing here? And then I had an encounter with the Lord. And He affirmed His relationship with me. And He said, I'm speaking to you differently. I'm giving you something different than everybody else. And if you will follow me, I will reveal myself to you in a way that is necessary and will be substantive for others that come after you. And that was hard. Because what we see with our eyes was so different than what we sensed in the Lord. I had to know the Lord. I had to know His voice. And in the end, I had to give myself in faith to Him. I really had to give myself in faith to Him. Okay. Turn to 2 Corinthians chapter 10.